All right, folks, let's bring in Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, who is now, or I guess this week, will be officially the head of the Senate Budget Committee. Senator Johnson, old friend, thank you for coming on. I know you're a very busy fella. Just one thought. This may pass through your own Budget Committee and other committees that you're on. As I recall, Homeland Security, you're on that. Why not a covert war against Iran? Are we doing that with our ally, secret services in the United States and Israel, and who knows who else might want to help? Why shouldn't we have a covert war? The way Reagan conducted a covert war against Soviet communism 40 years ago. Why not, Senator Johnson?
I think we should. The fact that Iran has the blood of hundreds, if not more than 1,000 Americans on its hands, we should do everything we can to support the Iranian people. I mean, there are tens of millions of Iranians who do not want to be ruled by this brutal dictatorship. And I have no problem whatsoever. Again, the CIA, we have agencies in place that can do these things. I would assume they are attempting to do that. If not, I'd say they're not doing their job.
Yes, well, I hope they are doing that. In this, I'm confused. I know we were talking on the radio, but I'm still confused. The House has a budget resolution. They're calling it Reconciliation 3.0. Other people, though, in the House have a 4.0. Maybe yours is going to be a 5.0. I don't like the skinny bill. I want tax cuts, as you and I have discussed. I want budget cuts. The newspapers today are just filled with stories about Medicaid corruption and welfare corruption, not just now in California, but Emmett Oz is showing what's incredibly happening in New York, for heaven's sakes, with Chinese intervention, by the way, breaking the law. Mandami and Hochul won't stop any of it. I mean, we need a large budget bill to tackle a bunch of things, including the voting ID, including the supplemental for the Iranian war. I mean, we need a big fat product, Senator, not a skinny one.
Well, Larry, as you well know, I'm not chairman of the Budget Committee yet. I do know there are many competing ideas in terms of what people want in another reconciliation bill. In this instance, I think right now the White House is leading the effort. I think they're kind of dictating terms. I think their evaluation is you probably need to do a skinny one to actually get it passed. Just hearing the different viewpoints in the Senate, that may be correct. From my standpoint, listen, I'm all for a much larger bill. There is a potential. Do one smaller version before the election, come back in a lame duck and do the things that we want to get done. Again, I'm not sure where this all sorts out. My role is going to be to try and organize the effort, get people on the same page. Been having discussions with Russ Vought. I'll be sitting down meeting with Jody Arrington tomorrow morning. Again, it'd be nice if the Senate conference would actually get together and vote me chair so I can really assume the responsibility. But again, it's really about getting people on the same page and accomplishing what's possible.
Well, look, Russ Vought's a good man. He's a friend of mine. Jody Arrington's a good man. You're a good man. You and I have been working together for, 20 years, some such thing. I'm just saying, little things, okay? Look, the voter ID, absolutely. But then again, it was $100 billion for the supplemental for Iran. I hope that can get through. That's important. But you know what? The last 30 years, the inflation rate has doubled. CPI has gone up 108%, I think. Why not increase the capital gains tax exemption on the sale of a home? That would help housing because people have locked it in. That would unlock a lot of assets, maybe for small business, farms, ranchers. Who knows? That kind of thing. And again, what about all this waste, fraud, and abuse? You have a wonderful track record down through the years. You've expressed your furor and anger at the government spending and budget deficits and so forth. Now's the time to strike, not skinny big. Strike, show the public that this administration really does want to change Washington, D.C., and really does want to change all the waste, fraud, and corruption going on. Yes, you have a whole history on this stuff, Senator.
You're preaching the choir here, no doubt about it. You know how much I fought for returning to a reasonable pre-pandemic level spending in the One Big Beautiful Bill. What we have going for us now is we didn't have the Nick Shirley video. We didn't have Dr. Oz uncovering, layer and layer of fraud in Medicaid. We didn't have the fact that we didn't slash Medicaid. Medicaid spending is up 10%, according to the Wall Street Journal article last week. So again, there's more facts on the ground here. You're preaching the choir. I want to accomplish an awful lot. I think one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest risks Republicans have is a dispirited base. By not passing the full Save America Act and bringing integrity to our elections. I mean, the fact that we're not accomplishing some of these things that the voters really sent us to do, that we're not able to complete President Trump's agenda. So I think the best thing we can do to have success in the midterms, as opposed to being cautious and not do things because it might cost us votes. No, we need to do big things to re-energize our base. That's my position.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'll be fighting for internally.
100% right. Yes, sir. That is great. I love hearing you say that. That's very important, what you just said. Absolutely right. Sure. Look, Trump's draining the swamp in Iran. God bless him. And I hope he just, goes through whatever he needs to go through. You all can drain the swamp in Washington, D.C., and that'll re-energize the base. That'll bring out voters that don't normally vote. That'll show some real spirit. Yes, 100%, Senator Johnson. You can do this. You're preaching to this choir, but you have a platform as budget chairman. Go on ahead and do it. Go on, get the leadership to go with you. Shame them into it. Now's the time. Strike while the iron is hot. Senator Johnson.
That's what I'm trying to do, Larry.
I know it. I know you very, very well, and I appreciate it. Thanks ever so much for coming back on the show. We'll talk soon. All right, folks.